Hello, everyone. My name is Bill Even, and I'm here today wearing two hats. First, I'm the CEO of the National Pork Board, the organization that represents 60,000 American pork producers. I'm here also today talking to you as a farmer myself. It's a real pleasure to be part of the Economist Sustainability Week. I look forward to talking with you about some things that the U.S. pork industry is doing to ensure that we're producing sustainable protein. So, in both of my roles, both as a farmer as well as the CEO of the National Pork Board, I understand that sustainability is a priority. The next decade in this area is going to be pivotal. A lot of the talk going on right now globally around climate change and greenhouse gas emissions is focused on the food system, among other things. And this interconnectivity makes a lot of sense because we must solve for hunger and undernourishment and malnutrition around the world. And at the same time, making sure that we're doing that food production in a more sustainable manner. Now, COVID has really challenged us here in the past year, as I think we all know. And according to the UN Food and Agricultural Organization, undernourishment actually increased by 1.5% in 2020. That's the first time in 5 years that those things have started to happen. And I think it's incumbent upon all of us as we think of our fellow citizens on the planet to ensure that we're able to drive those numbers down. And I think, speaking as a farmer, I understand that our food system improvement is going to have to start at the farm level. Now, the good news is that farmers like myself and my brother and my son are already implementing change, literally at the ground level. The 60,000 pig farmers that I represent literally have boots on the ground every single day, whether it's in the tractor, in the truck, in the feed mill, in the barn, or in the fields themselves. These people are working day in and day out to raise the livestock and to raise the feed and to make sure that it's getting to the processing plants and then into the grocery stores and the restaurants to feed people. So from our point of view, we understand that food sustainability does need to start on the farm. And speaking on behalf of the National Pork Board, we believe that no one is better equipped to innovate, understand, and improve than today's United States pig farmers. The farmers that I do represent are really motivated and committed to doing this work. They're ready to collect the data, to do the measuring, and to understand the metrics and get those applied. And a word that you're going to hear a lot from me today is we're willing and ready to collaborate. So, first off, we're going to start off by applying past progress to our future success. Now, all of us make decisions every day that impact sustainability. For example, where do we set our thermostat? Do we take public transportation to work, or do we drive our car? Are we involved in a recycling program in our community? Do we water our lawns, for example? And farmers have been doing these same things on the landscape for decades. Things related to animal care, land stewardship, and our involvement in community. So for example, myself and my brother and my son have all been active in our local volunteer fire department, our local volunteer ambulance service. We've been active in civic and community organizations. We're involved in our church. The point of it is that the people that are on the farms, be they in the United States or in Europe or elsewhere around the world, are also active members of the community. And we understand that these lessons regarding sustainability have been passed down from generation to generation. Before sustainability or environmentalism or conservation or regenerative agriculture were even hot topics, these are the things that we've been doing all along. And I'm proud to report that a lot of the work we've been doing is working. So, according to the University of Arkansas, the United States pig industry in the past 5 decades has used 75% less land, 25% less water, 7% less energy, and have reduced our carbon footprint by nearly 8%. And all of this while increasing the amount of food that we're actually producing. But we also know that we're never done. According to the US EPA, United States agriculture accounts for about 10% of the nation's greenhouse gas emissions. And we are committed to continuing lowering that number, just as I indicated on the slide before. because we believe in continuous improvement. We also believe in technology and innovation and new approaches, some which we probably even haven't invented yet, are going to be critical for us to make meaningful progress on a global scale. And at the National Pork Board, we take a scientific approach that is going to be robust and farmer-driven. So, number 2, we need to know where we're going. So I mentioned the data-driven decisions are what need to be emphasized. And there's some examples out there in pig farms across the country right now, some things that we're already doing. So, for example, we have some farms that are converting their manure into biogas to create renewable energy in order to power residential homes. We're using cover crops to improve soil health and increase carbon sequestration. We're improving our feed and its nutritional content, along with improving our feed and feeders to ensure that the pigs are not wasting it. Some of our producers have installed solar panels on their barns. And our barns today, frankly, are smart barns. They're energy efficient, climate controlled, and manage the feed and water, all with the idea that we're going to keep our animals safe, healthy, and comfortable while we're producing feed and while we're producing food. Now, these goals didn't just come out of thin air. They do align with the pork industry's We Care principles. More than 13 years ago, producers defined the 6 ethical principles that were going to be critically important for our industry. And while environment and greenhouse gas emissions and carbon are really the focus of the topic today, I think it's important to note that the pork industry is setting our metrics and goals in areas also such as animal welfare, community engagement, employee training and development, and so on. Putting our metrics where our mouth is really our demonstration of commitment to continuous improvement. And we here at the National Pork Board have the responsibility to work with our nation's pork producers and provide them the tools and the information and the education necessary to make progress towards those goals. Now, I've mentioned our organization, it's the National Pork Board. It's led by a 15-member farmer board of directors that come from all shapes and sizes of production systems all across the United States. And they have been working for the past year and a half to really understand and define our sustainability goals. And they have set the expectation for themselves and for us that our goals are going to be data-driven, they're going to be collaborative, meaning that we understand we're part of the producer to the farm, to the processor, to the supply chain, and ultimately to you as consumers. And they've also committed to tying these sustainability metrics to 15 of the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Our metrics and goals are going to be designed to address greenhouse gas emissions, soil, land, and habitat, water conservation and quality, food safety, and community engagement. And to make sure that we're able to walk the talk, we are measuring our baseline in these areas. So we've started collecting pilot data back in May of this year and are working across a large number of states with a number of different producers to really understand what's happening at the farm level. Now, it's really exciting. The numbers you see on the slide, by the time we get to the end of the month of November, those numbers will have changed again. Because we have producers from around the nation are leaning in, wanting to learn more, wanting to understand how they do a better job on their farm. And all that rolls up to sustainability. And these pilot programs are designed to collect evidence-based measurement at the field level. Things such as our manure application, soil health in the area, water use, and conservation practices. Then our job at the National Pork Board is to anonymously aggregate all this information at the national level, sit down with our board of directors and other scientists to identify gaps so we can prioritize the research and innovation investments that our producers are willing to make in order to improve. Now, if there's a theme that you're noticing here, it's important to stress the work that's going on at the farm level. You can't manage what you don't measure. And continuous improvement doesn't happen from 30,000 feet. What we're finding out, and I guess probably what we already knew, is that it's one farm, one field at a time. It's taking people out there with calculators and pencils and smartphones, doing the hard work and getting our hands dirty in the fields and in the barns to really make sure that the information we're going to provide back to society is credible. Now, the early results from some of these pilot programs are really showing some really nice progress and also areas for us to improve. For example, our pilot farms are showing lower rates of erosion than state or national averages. In addition, our application of manure, also known as organic fertilizer, has reduced the need for commercial fertilizer of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium by almost 3,000 tons on the pilot farms that we've already examined. I think this is an example of the fundamental work that we are doing as producers to make sure we can walk the talk when we share numbers with you in the supply chain. So, number 3, another theme you've heard in my presentation is really progress requires collaboration. Now, farmers everywhere value their independence. It's really what drives innovation for us. We're the ones that have to actually pay for this and make sure that it works. Sustainability also requires economic sustainability for us. But we also understand that we're one part in a very complex food system. And to show our commitment to collaboration, our pork producers have pooled their money and are doing collaborative projects today. I'll give you a couple examples. First, we sat down with other commodity groups in the processing industry, and we formed a team called Protein Pact. And it's designed for us to share information, share research, and most importantly, share best practices across the industry around what we're doing well and what we need to do better. In addition, we formed a memorandum of understanding with the National Corn Growers Association and the United Soybean Board to share research and examples of how we're going to improve the sustainability of feed production. Because ultimately, we may do everything right at the barn with our pigs, but if we're not partnered with the corn and soybean producers, for example, we're never going to be able to fully realize our end goal of carbon neutrality. Now, we represent the nation's 60,000 pork producers. So part of our job in our organization is to also answer questions around how pigs are raised and sharing that story from the farm. Now, to make that happen, we've launched our Real Pork communications and outreach effort, designed to transparently highlight and talk about what we're doing on the farm and really talk to an authentic producer to really understand our practices. Look, we're proud of who we are, we're proud of what we do, and we're more than happy to talk to people about that. And so we really welcome engagement from across the industry as U.S. pork producers. And in closing, I think there's some things we can probably all agree on. That is, families need sustainable, affordable, nutritious food. And we here in the U.S. pork industry are committed to doing that, providing that nutrient-rich protein that is accessible and, frankly, committed to improving our environmental footprint. We also believe that farmers that I represent and farmers like myself and my brother and my son need to be part of those conversations and part of those decisions. We've got a record of innovation. We've got a record of rising to the challenge, and we tend to be pretty action-oriented. And this is what I've seen on our now 5th generation family farm in South Dakota. We're always looking for ways to improve and conserve our resources. So, for example, we use rotational grazing for our cattle herd. We're using precision agriculture to make sure that our seeds and our fertilizer and our crop protection products are applied in the right amount, in the right spot, in the right acre at the right time. We're planting cover crops as well. And that's taken a capital investment on our part, and one that we're happy to do because we understand that over the long haul, it's going to make the land better off for my granddaughter. My father taught us these things back when we were growing up on the farm as kids, respecting the land and the animals, because like your family name, it's something you need to protect if you want to carry on this farm through the generations. That knowledge may be common to people like me that are in agriculture, but we wanted to make sure we're able to share that with other consumers around the world. Sustainability is going to start at our farm, but we know it doesn't end there. And what we're asking everybody's help with here is to work together to take measurable action. Because in the end, I'd like to think you can count on us. We're real farmers on real farms, growing real food to feed real people. And for us in the pork industry, it's about caring for people, pigs, and the planet in a sustainable fashion. So with that, I really want to thank you for your time and attention, and have a really great day.